A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble host, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, the strange space cult to my dominating galactic empire, it's John Campbell.
Hello, everybody. Bow before me. Yeah, Gargoni, it's so weird that we're doing this issue that is coming out. To flash us back, I always kind of try to put myself into the mindset of being a Star Wars fan at the moment when this came out. So
Prior to us actually being alive.
Prior to us actually being alive, correct? Because we, as we always tell, we grew up in that era when Star Wars was already, the trilogy was just a single entity. I never thought of one without the other movies.
Yes.
So, but like, I can't even imagine what the hype would have been at this point when The Empire Strikes Back is coming out, right? Like,
It's striking back, yeah.
I mean, it was kind of one of the first movies to really have hype, like true, pure hype. And this issue we're talking about comes out 11 days, hits newsstand 11 days before that movie comes out.
Yeah, for those who maybe also weren't alive for this.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back premieres May 17th, 1980.
It was the 17th and just a week before then.
Yeah, I mean, that's its premiere, and then its wide release is the 21st.
21st, yeah, because this comes out, the publication date of this is May 10th, 1980. Though
Marvel. Actually, I think I'm getting my dates a little mixed up here. It gets a limited release in May 21st. Its wide release is June 18th.
Okay, there you go. The movies used to come out differently, folks.
I mean, there's still a little bit of that to like these days, especially when you're trying to get like Oscar play. You'll have like limited releases.
More so the more art house kind of movies, but something like Star Wars movie would come out day and date, like everywhere. Back then, it was sort of a slow roll. It could be more of a slow roll. My dad always talks about there was one theater playing Star Wars in 1977 in Portland.
Right. Well, and you had a more limited number of theaters back then as well.
More limited number of theaters. They didn't make as many prints of movies. Also, theaters only had one screen for the most part. So you didn't have a multiplex where it's like, oh, I'll just go to the showing that starts in 20 minutes. It's like, no, if you miss this showing, you're going to have to wait the 2 hours for the movie to end and then come back.
Wild to think that one of the limitations on how wide a movie could go is the number of printings they actually physically created to ship other places.
Yeah, and Star Wars is kind of one of the first movies where they realized, like, maybe we should do more. there might be, because it's just like we've tried. Star Wars changed the industry in a lot of ways, but that's one of them. It's just like maybe a lot of people want to see a movie and like all at once. Anyway,
but all the point of this is that Empire Strikes Back is eminent as of this issue.
I mean, I can't even imagine the hype. Like I said, if you're somebody who would pick up a Star Wars comic on newsstand, you must be like about to vibrate through the earth, like.
And like we've said before, there have been like scant trailers for this movie have come out at this point.
There's a big Time magazine thing, because that was a time too when it's like promoting a movie. Where'd you see it? It was like, oh, Time magazine has the first pictures from Star Wars, the new Star Wars
set photos. We would have like certain model pictures would come out. It is a little less spoilery than these days what you'd find on the internet, but it's definitely like if you sought it out, there was stuff that existed in like
Starlog
magazine.
Yeah, it's just coming up. That was kind of the internet of its day if you were into genre stuff.
Was Wizard magazine coming out at this point?
I don't think Wizard was out yet. I feel like that's later, more in the comics boom sort of era. Wizard magazine starts. Not till the 90s.
Okay, 91 is Wizard.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like I said, that's sort of when you had the comics collecting boom.
But yeah, we're fast approaching this comic books coverage of Empire Strikes Back. But Empire Strikes Back is a dominant factor in Star Wars fandom as this issue is being released. So
And
we sort of have to keep that in mind as we're covering it.
I was gonna say we're saying that for a reason because I mean right off the bat, when this brings us back to our main man, the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader, it's interesting to try to make this in any way jibe with what people are about to see.
Right. So yeah, we are covering issue number 35 of Marvel Comics Group Presents Star Wars. This issue was published in May of 1980. And we've got a lot of the same creative forces as we've had before. We got Archie Goodwin on writing, Carmen Infantino on pencils, Gene Day on inks. We've got a new colorist in Nel Yomtov, who I've never heard of this colorist before, but apparently they did a crap load of Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Okay, I mean big Marvel titles.
Yeah, a bunch of West Coast Avengers too.
Oh, I do love me some West Coast Avengers.
So if you like some Kirby Crackle in your Ultrons, Nel Yomtov is the one to go to. And we've got John Costanza on letters. Let's get to this cover because what a cover!
What a cover! Number one, they're like, you know what we have dropped and need to pick up again? The term Star Warriors.
Yep. Yep.
And I would say maybe you didn't need to pick that back up.
Because right off the bat, we have Darth Vader looming large and in charge as he treats our main characters like they are toys. And Darth Vader plays a game of death against the Star Warriors.
Son of a bitch. Here he is with his classic pink colored goggles.
Yeah, but that is only to reflect the pink lightsaber that Luke also now suddenly has.
I don't want to get into any sort of weird psychological stuff either. But why has he opened up Luke Skywalker's jacket like that? Exposing his chest?
We're going to get into Luke's wardrobe in this.
Oh, yes, we are.
But I don't know. And also, are these meant to be like people actually moving on a board, or are they toys that Darth Vader is playing with? Why is Baron Tag here?
Baron Tag seems to be like a frozen figure, but Luke appears to be like in mid-fight. Like, look at his hand is on Vader's finger as if he's fighting to get away from him. And the other characters appear to be reacting to Darth Vader as if he's looming over them. So I think they're supposed to be miniature people. I was assuming we were going to get some Pym particles involved in this maybe, but...
No, and look, I understand the cover is a metaphor for the games that Darth Vader is playing, both politically and like espionage-wise.
He doesn't literally play with Star Wars toys at any point in this issue.
I will say this cover does set up something that bothers me throughout this issue, and that is just how wide Darth Vader's head is in the art for this issue.
He's approaching Dark Helmet territory. That's all I'm saying.
We've seen a stylized Vader helmet before, and I'm okay with it getting like a little elastic in terms of like the width of the helmet and like how big the breathing and mask can be. Yeah. But this one's getting a little toad-like for my liking.
It's not great. It's not the finest look for maybe one of the single most badass character designs in the history of pop culture.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's got to be.
This cover doesn't go as bad as some of the interior art goes, and we'll get there when we get there.
No, anyway, let's open the book here and talk about the
Here's as bad as it goes, right here, first page.
Dark Lord. Hello, everybody. Yeah, starting on a close-up of Darth Vader seems like a cool idea until you see him. This page, full page, cannot contain Darth Vader's helmet.
It's too wide. It's too big.
Just too wide. And so, yes, we get this very horror movie font of Dark Lord's Gambit, and we start with him saying, "Tell me his name."
I'm pretty sure I've seen this font in Tomb of Dracula.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. It is absolutely the Tomb of Dracula font. Which everybody go ahead and when if you see him or leave comments and ask Brendan Jones about his Tomb of Dracula adaptation script. It's not bad.
But we finally have Darth Vader here on this first page learning the name of the little shit who ruined his day back in A New Hope, and that is Luke Skywalker.
And it's great because that name means nothing to him, which is just what I want.
You know what's funny is that right now the name Skywalker means absolutely nothing to this Darth Vader.
Because literally, like, when we turn the page, here's what's described: Luke Skywalker, a long breath rasped from the Sith Lord's mask. In someone less awesome, it might almost have been a sigh. 2 words, 1 name. Almost anticlimactic, considering the long time it has taken him to learn it. He's just like, oh, it's just some guy. Fucking come on. I know they don't know what they don't know, but they also kind of maybe know at this point.
No, they don't. Like I
don't know. I don't know what
Archie Goodwin knows.
Yeah, I don't know what they are being shared with. Right, like probably at this point, not much. Probably more so. They got more advanced looks at the first movie when, like, they're just trying to hype the movie up, right?
Pretty famously, like, some of the actors didn't know, and like at the premiere, because they changed the audio of the movie later.
It was never said on set. That was a big The line that Vader said to Mark Hamill on set was, "Obi-Wan killed your father," and Hamill talks about it. He goes like, "Oh, what a crazy twist! Obi-Wan's the bad guy." Like that, He thought that was like, wow, that's gonna blow people's minds. So they probably don't know, and I think they talked about that in the Oral History of Star Wars book that we've referenced before, Secrets of the Force, that it was like, it was only like Lucas, Kasdan, and Kushner knew. Yeah. And it was sort of a thing where it's like, if it ever leaks, we know it's coming from one of us. Like
that was their death gambit of just like, it's got to be one of us.
Yeah, if only 3 people know, then we know it's one of us if it gets out. So so they probably don't know, but it's so interesting that they're just going like, okay, they're just sort of, it's just funny to read, of course.
It is funny to read, and again, they have no idea that twist that spoilers, everybody, Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's dad.
I'm always surprised. Every once in a while, I come across someone who doesn't know that.
No.
I'm fascinated by. I watch a lot of YouTube videos where people watch movies for the first time because I'm just fascinated by people who haven't seen movies and famous movies. And a couple times where it's like, what? And you're like, what? How can you be an adult human being and not know? Even if you haven't seen the movies, which is also crazy to me. How do you not know that?
I have run into people who are just like, for whatever reason in their lives, the pop culture they consume does not include Star Wars. I can't fault people for that. I can say, well, I need to correct this on a personal level if I'm to interact with you for any length of time.
Because it's so ubiquitous, right? It just feels like it's sort of a thing where most people just have seen it, whether they're like even into movies or not, or even into sci-fi. Right? Like,
let me finish the qualifier here.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Even if they haven't actually sat down and devoted time to watching these films, what they've absorbed via cultural osmosis is usually the big beats. Death Star, Luke Skywalker, Luke, I am your father, like Yoda puppet. Like, there's some stuff that just is across culture that you can't escape.
It's one of those classic nerd things, too. It's like, technically, he never actually says, Luke, I am your father.
Sure, in the same way that Kirk never says, beam me up, Scotty. But
he does in the animated series, which is very
sure. Fun. And in so many parodies of Star Wars, it is Luke, I am your father.
Humphrey Bogart never says, play it again, Sam, in Casablanca.
Right. These are some Mandela effect lines that have just sifted into culture as shorthand for what the thing actually is.
Right, yes, yeah. I mean, because it's always like the Star Wars one. I always, because it's like he basically says that, like.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's pretty much Luke, I am your father. And it's like, but anyway, so here he is. He's finally got Luke Skywalker's name. I do like the image of just this corpse of a man that he's crushed in front of him.
With the help of Dr. Ball.
Dr. Ball, man. Nice to see him get some more work.
With a smoking probe.
And just like the destruction around him. If I want to see Vader on a planet full of crushed people and smoking remains of buildings, and
I do love that we just cut to, oh yeah, Vader wrecked a place just so he could choke the life out of this one guy and learn the name Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. And we go to a character who's gotten so much play in the comic that is just not somebody anyone thinks about, which is Captain Wormus.
Captain Wormus. We are returning to the cruiser. Make ready to depart. Yeah, Darth Vader's got the name Luke Skywalker. Now he's got to set some things in motion because that is the name of the pilot who destroyed the Death Star. Darth Vader's got a bit of a grudge.
Having acquired that information, we shall now take action.
Soon aboard the orbiting cruiser. What are your orders, Lord Vader? That's how I imagine Wormus sounds.
Oh, well, because his name is Wormus, so he's going to have sort of a Weasley kind of voice. Right? He's not going to be like, hello, I'm Captain Wormus. Good evening, everyone.
But Vader is saying, hey, get a hold of General Tag. Again, something I talked about a couple issues ago. Originally, this character that is called General Tag was supposed to be the same General Tag that was aboard the Death Star.
Right, and it wasn't until a role-playing book years later, right? That
established that this was a separate character.
Yeah, of course, yeah, sure. Jesus. But he's like, get me the one member of the Tag family who hasn't lost his mind in a defeat. Because let's see if we can drive one more Wormus into some sort of shock-induced coma.
I love Vader's line to Wormus here. It's just like, don't anticipate what I will or won't do, Wormus. Your talent is for subservience, not strategy.
Best Vader line in this comic. I love that. That sounds good. That is the kind of shittiness Vader shows to his underlings in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like, hey, pal, just remember, you work for me, buddy.
You are a toady, and that is it.
Yeah, whoa. Someone's getting a little big for his britches.
Vader would use the word uppity to describe somebody.
He's on the phone with Palpatine later. He's like, you'll never believe the toad Wormus used with me earlier. That bastard.
You should totally choke him, Vader.
So I want to talk about these Star Destroyers and the way they're meeting in space here in this next panel.
John, look, sometimes when you're docking, you got to touch the tips.
Well, in this case, it's one tip touching the bulkier part of the other one, which is very strange.
Whatever works for you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not here to get anyone to on as we often say. So here we go. They're meeting with General Tag. Mm-hmm. And General Tag, he gets, speaking of getting a little uppity with Vader, and Vader puts this son of a bitch in his place, too.
Well, to be fair to Tag, Vader rolls in and is just like, and my congratulations on that narrow escape you made from the rebels.
That was pretty great, man.
And Tag is like, is that why you called me here? Just to taunt me? And then he gets force choked.
You're goddamn right it is. I will taunt whoever I want, whenever I want.
See, this is what happens when Tarkin isn't around anymore. Yeah. Vader is just off the leash.
Is Vader gonna have to choke a bitch? You know the answer is yes. He always is choking a bitch. He starts choking Tag. And I like that this isn't even the choke from the boardroom scene. It's a shittier little like.
Mm-hmm. It's a little. I'm pinching your head.
It's a little throat pinch from Vader.
Give him a pinch.
Yeah.
Well, because he's not trying to like really kill him, because he can still talk.
He's just a little bit like, a little hard to breathe now, huh? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so we get some more recap on. We got to talk about Baron and Silas, and
Well, and we get recaps to things we didn't see in the last issue too. So I don't know if does that count as a recap if this is new information?
Later, there's a truly insane thing involving that.
When they say we haven't written this issue yet?
Yeah. Wait, why is Leia hurt? We haven't told you that story yet. Someday. I hope they never do. That would be hilarious to me. But
so we get this.
Like, I don't know. My brother invented a freeze ray or some shit. Didn't work.
But something went wrong. The invention failed, and the Alliance fleet it was intended to crush turned the trap against us. My brother's vessel was swiftly destroyed. Before my cruiser could retreat from the sector, the rebels came sweeping in on us.
Of course, it didn't work as a fucking tag plan.
You used the word freeze ray in a sentence, and you expected that to work.
My God, that's dumb even by our standards. And I was party to the Death Star, and even I think that's stupid. Jesus Christ. I'm surrounded by morons.
I mean, he is.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they. Oh yeah. So we get a flashback to the end of that, right? Or like.
Well, because the panel at the bottom of this page here, as the Rebel fleet is sweeping in on the Star Destroyer here, is presumably something that happened after the end of last issue.
Yes, because we never got to General Tag being involved. They were like, send for him.
Yeah.
But then here we get... Oh, no, they sent the message that told them where General Tag was. Then there was a battle that happened in between issues.
Right. And this is that battle we're seeing now as the Rebel fleet is coming in on the Star Destroyer, and then they say, when another ship surged into the fray, it looked like a freighter, but its speed and maneuverability equaled any craft in the battle, and then some.
Yep. And so then we go to this page.
It was the Millennium Falcon.
It's always the Millennium Falcon. When they're talking about a super awesome ship doing really cool stuff in Star Wars, there's like a 95% chance they're talking about the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
the other 5% chance is the Ghost from Rebels, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Those are the two ships that are doing the impossible. So it's like in Star Trek, you're not hearing about the USS Yorktown kicking ass. As cool as the Yorktown may be. But we go to the next page, which one of my least favorite things they continue to do in this comic is this like shadow effect.
And he's suddenly a Simpsons character for some reason?
Yeah, I know. It's like to emphasize the shadow, they also change his skin tone. That's a bad call.
For two panels here, he's just incredibly jaundiced. As he, in the long line of tag men, is now having a mental breakdown after having had a failure.
Anyone who meets with Luke Skywalker is like, I was completely bested in every sense of the word.
As a soldier, as a general, as a man.
And he's going to be bested even more because he's like, anyway, yeah, it was exactly the three you think it was, Vader.
Yeah, Leia and Solo and Skywalker.
And Vader just picks him up like a rag doll.
I do love this bit. It's like Vader comes in and says, you had all that. The one I've been seeking. The ship that ruined our defense of the Death Star, and you lost it.
Yeah, get your ass over there. And yes, here we have behold, which I do love the idea of Vader saying behold. But
it's a little marvelly.
It's very marvelly. I like him saying it in a comic, I should say. I can't imagine him saying it in a movie. Behold, yes, that's something Thanos says, you know. But yes, he has in basic. What they're like in cryo sleep, basically.
Well, you know, they lose like 70% of the value if you take them out of the original packaging, John. So you got to keep them sealed.
Mint condish, pal.
Yeah. This bottom panel here, we reveal that Darth Vader, what does he have us beholding? It is Silas and Orman Tag, the older Tag brothers, in some kind of stasis.
Check it out, man. It's your bros.
And General Tag here is definitely of the opinion that we were last issue when their ship blew up, that they should be dead.
This comic refuses to kill anyone. No way.
Hey, but Valance fell into that boiling lake. You think he's doing okay?
He's come back. I'm sure he'll be fine. But he's basically just like, well, hey, check it out. These guys are here. Look, would you want to wake up at some point? Because I could make that happen, or very much not.
Well, because as of right now, General Tag has now also become Baron Tag, because with his two older brothers out of the picture, he has the family title.
They were bested out of their titles. Luke Skywalker stripped them of their titles and their dignity. This one was crying when we found him.
We'll add that to the Emperor's reel of crying dissidents.
It was pretty sad stuff. Even I was a little embarrassed for him.
But Vader's like, I detect a certain lack of enthusiasm, Tag.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've grown fond of the title Baron in the briefest time it's been yours.
Because he says, pledge your cooperation. It's quite possible these two could remain like this, continue to oppose me, and out of the three of you brought before the Emperor with a full account of your fiasco against the rebels. Great use of the word fiasco. This whole tag thing has been a major fiasco, man.
A real fustercluck, if you know what I mean.
I also like he says, and I want no scheming behind my back. That's enough already with the scheming.
Darth Vader is very anti-scheming, even
Darth
though the rest
Vader
of this issue is about him scheming.
running on a firm no scheming policy.
Now, plotting, conspiring, those are cool, just no scheming.
Yeah, please no scheming. Then walking out of the room is the weirdest pose on Vader, because it looks, he's got his hand up in the air and it looks like his head is back, like, now this.
Well, because his other hand is on Tag's shoulder, so it looks like he's wheeling him away with a hand up, gesturing like some kind of like bloviating Bond villain. Anytime Vader puts hands on someone, I expect him to go flying across the room.
100%. Vader's not a hugger. Famously so.
Well, he does very limited hugs around the trachea.
Yeah. I was just trying to show my love. How did I know it would choke the life out of him? I don't know. It was a sign of affection. Oh, did Vader choke you? That means he likes you.
Well, if he chokes you and you walk away, it means he likes you.
Yeah. I heard he once choked his wife. He did.
True.
Yeah. Did that contribute to her death? Unclear.
Unclear. No, she died of sadness, John.
Yeah. No, she lost the will to live.
Yeah. Broken heart. Classic uncurable disease in a galaxy far, far away.
Nothing we can do. We have a lot of advanced medical science, but we can't do anything about this. Sorry.
Nope.
Then her kids just weren't worth living for.
No, probably not.
But of course, one of these tags may not be as unconscious as we think.
Yeah, perhaps it is the lack of Chambers' subdued light, but as the Sith Lord and General Tag depart, the trance-bound face of Ormond Tag seems to twist with hatred and rage.
Because he famously hates Darth Vader, as we know.
Yeah, because remember,
but also Luke Skywalker.
He got blinded by Darth Vader's lightsaber. So
blinded by the Vader.
He only hates Luke Skywalker insofar as that capturing Luke Skywalker would mean one-upping Vader.
Yeah, that's right. That's the guy he wants to capture, so I'm going to capture him first, and then be like, nah.
Basically.
Yeah. But also, they're making it seem like, Baron Tag's going to come back. I'm like, dude, I just saw this guy get embarrassed. How can I ever take him seriously as a threat again?
Yeah.
He literally was embarrassed into a coma.
Well, we found out last issue that maybe Silas Tag was helping that coma along. So
yes,
we'll see.
He prolonged the coma. It seemed like it started there. It's trouble, is what I'm saying. It's very hard for me to take this guy seriously as a villain.
On the next page, we have Vader talking to Wormus again, being like, are we seriously going to be teaming up with this Tag guy?
Yeah. And he's just like, well, we've got no choice. Like...
No, Vader's like, look, it's the petty tyrant that obliterates a foe, Wormus. I am a master of the Force. From this moment on, an entire family which struggled against me will now serve as my pawns.
Yeah, just like, well, they're useful.
Yeah. And the idea, he's learning maybe a little bit from the Emperor here of just like, look, any psychopath can just kill everybody. And there was a time in my life where I definitely did that.
Look, man, that was a different me. That was a long time ago, in a galaxy pretty close by, though.
Look, there's a reason they call Anakin's lightsaber the Youngling Slayer 9000.
This thing can cut through a room full of younglings like a knife through butter.
Like you wouldn't believe. Never loses its edge.
Those kids went down smooth. So anyway, let's cut over to Luke Skywalker, and I really want to talk about this insane conversation, because who is he talking to here?
Somebody on Blue Flight. Blue Squad.
Yeah. Who knows about the love triangle between Han? Is like, I bet you must be pretty steamed that the princess is alone with Han Solo right now. What?
John, there are two incredibly important words on this page that basically let them hand wave whatever they say from this point on. Those two words are time passes.
Passes.
In the caption at the bottom.
Some amount of time has passed, presumably.
Time in which the fallen Jedi moves at his own pace on his own dark course. Time in which a former moisture farmer from Tatooine serves the Rebel Alliance in any way he can. How much time has passed? Don't worry about it.
Doesn't matter. Enough time that he apparently talked to whoever this guy is.
It's probably Wedge.
That's my guess as well. Right, because that would make the most sense in terms of Wedge is kind of the only X-Wing pilot who matters other than Luke.
Who has a name, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's not also dead at this point.
Yeah, yeah. We knew a few of the X-Wing pilots in the first movie. They all blew up. Yeah. R.I.P. to our boy Porkins.
Never forget.
But yeah, he's just like, I just think that really got me, though. The just like, I know you got the hots for Leia, and so does Han.
What? Again, as Empire Strikes Back is coming out, as this issue is also being read by people on newsstands, it's just like, oh boy, is this going to turn around real quick. But again, it'll be years before we know the whole sister thing, too.
Yeah, that's not till Jedi. And of course, as we also know from pretty definitive sources, like that was not the plan until pretty much they wrote Jedi. So,
right. There was a plan that Luke would have a sister. It's just
she was going to be a different character. Yes.
Yeah.
So
like Yoda's line at the end of like, no, there is another.
Right. Or maybe he's talking about Rey, as some people. Okay, sure.
Would Rey be alive at this point? No.
No, not at this point. Well, the point of Empire.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think. No, because it's been like 30 years between Jedi and Force Awakens, and Rey's only about 20 or so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out the timeline of just like, is Palpatine's son kicking around at this point? I think he would be.
Yes, he would have to be.
Yeah. His son/clone. Look, it gets real weird real quick with that whole conversation.
I don't know, man. I like the idea that Palpatine fucks. He's out there trolling. Hey, what's up? Can I buy you a drink? You come in here often.
Yes, my lord.
Sweet. He still puts in the act of flirting, even though he has power over everybody. Yeah.
But we cut to a ship being attacked by TIE fighters, not far from Yavin, which is where they still are.
They're gonna be on Yavin right up until the Empire, adaptation. That's just like, oh, now they're on Hoth. I don't know.
Correct.
I'm 100% like not joking about. I just assume that's what they're. Nope, no, we're on Hoth. Whatever.
Yep.
So they pew a little bit out here.
Yeah, they pew. They kill those TIE fighters. The one gets away, and Luke follows to try to see where it's going.
Right. And so then we cut back to an injured Leia, unknown as to what. That they have yet to chronicle that story.
Yeah. So Luke sees a Star Destroyer getting out of the system, and but he thinks to himself, well, Leia will be there to greet whoever lands. And yeah, Leia has a hurt ankle, and she says, my leg's almost healed since it was injured on that last mission, asterisk, which is the editor's note symbol. One editor's note says, one we have yet to chronicle.
I don't think I've ever seen that before in all the comics I've read. Someday.
I really like the idea of just like, here's an important plot point, or maybe an important plot point. I don't know. Yeah. It's enough of a plot point that they bring it up and that it is affecting Leia's locomotion and her wardrobe, because since she's hurt her leg, she can only wear short skirts now.
Oh, well, that's a rule, yeah. It's much like there's no bras in space, as George Lucas famously told Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
No, that would be ridiculous.
So yeah, I do love the idea of like, what if they just never show us how Leia hurt her leg here, because it's really not relevant, at least at the moment.
Included. Like, what the hell does it matter?
It has to be that there was an issue that they were planning to do. They ran out of time.
Yes.
Probably because Empire Strikes Back is coming.
Oh, shit, did you know they're making another one of these? They are? Oh, God.
And now that script is just in the ether, and they have that. Archie Goodwin has that in his back pocket and can be like, look, we've got a fill-in issue if we need it down the road.
I love the idea of the cover being like, finally, the story of Leia's injured leg. I had been wondering. So this ship is landing, and I do like Han saying, like, hey, you got to take it easy. You're too valuable to the Alliance to risk a relapse, Princess. Relapse of hurt leg?
Yes.
Worst case I've ever.
That's the only thing it could be as of right now.
Yeah, I guess don't make it worse or whatever. But anyway, Princess, relax and enjoy it. ... Like me.
Well, because the idea is that like Han is lounging around with Leia right now, helping her recover, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Which is why Luke is jealous that they're spending so much time together.
Yeah. Damn it, Han Solo is so invaluable to the thing that, look, man, I gotta stay with Leia. You go out and fight space battles. Whatever. Anyway, this ship has landed, and there are people getting off of the ship. There's this. What did they describe her as?
Sister. She is a sister of the Order of the Sacred Circle.
Cool.
Sister Domina. And for
keen-eyed
listeners of this show.
Yes.
And I don't know as if they've actually name dropped her in this book, but they have mentioned that there is a younger sister of the House of Tag.
They do mention it briefly in one of the other issues.
I don't know if they've ever said her name is
They have not
Domina.
said her name, but they've just said, they did say, because when they were talking earlier about where the Baron title was going to fall, and they're like, well, it's not going to go to our little sister. That's about it. And I think maybe there's a couple other mentions of that they have a sister, but they have not said a name. But also, I was going to ask you about this, Gorgoni, the Order of the Sacred Circle. Is that just this comic only, or is that anything else in the world of Star Wars? Because I don't know it, certainly.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever been brought up since this book. It's been used in this book, and I think in some. Let me Wikipedia that real quick. I should have.
I like that as a verb. I'm gonna Wikipedia this.
Yeah. But there are lots of like weird little esoteric orders that crop up in Star Wars, in terms of just like weird, like kind of the Force, organizations, I guess, that are like, okay, this could be construed as like Force adjacent, but not necessarily as like devout as like what the Jedi are talking about. And to answer your question, no, this has really only been mentioned in this comic book.
That's what I figured. But sometimes I don't know. You never know what we've seen people like pick up on little things and carry it forward. But no, I didn't think this was anything. I've never heard this term in Star Wars before.
It was brought up like once or twice in like the Old Republic comics later, but only in passing, not as like plot relevant stuff.
Right. That makes sense. So immediately she's all over Luke here.
To the point where Leia had the whole like grabbing of Han's head last issue. Now somebody else is grabbing Luke's head. I wonder if this is a thing in a galaxy far, far away.
Hey,
also, her thumb is gigantic.
Gigantic. It's almost as big as her index finger.
Look at your hand. Look at where your thumb ends on your hand. It's like somewhere near the knuckle, right?
Right, like if I'm to grasp, this is kind of what
her thumb like comes out to the second or like even third knuckle on her finger.
About there, that's gigantic. It's insane.
She's got Skeksis hands,
and those sharp ass claws because it's an Infantino book.
But
and
she comes out. She's
I can't tell
the Sacred Circle.
I can't tell if I'm actually meant to think Leia is jealous or if that's just how he always draws her scowling.
Ooh, that's a good question. Because, yeah, she always looks like that.
That makes it very hard if you actually want to portray her as being upset. It's like, I don't know, man, she always seems kind of pissed off to me.
And Han's look is kind of like, this kid's getting something finally.
Yeah, all right.
And Luke's look is
My
he's
man.
stoned out of his mind.
It really is. Hey, whoa.
Because, yeah, this is Sister Domina of the Order of the Sacred Circle. They are a religious organization that is coming here to try to negotiate with the rebellion. And she immediately latches onto Luke because his aura is cool.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if this is part of the... There is a ploy happening here that we'll learn by the end of the issue.
Of course.
Darth Vader setting up this whole circumstance.
It's it's the Dark Lord's gambit.
Is she latching onto Luke Skywalker to lure him specifically to the situation that Darth Vader's setting up, or is she latching onto him incidentally?
I think it's a more of a, well, yeah, that's a good question. I was going to say there's two things going on. Number one, well, there's a couple ways to read it, right? Like, is it that Vader, is it that she knows how powerful Luke is, so she knows to kind of like get him on her side first, or the reverse is because he's sort of this wide-eyed innocent child, is she seducing the weakest gazelle first?
Yeah,
And one of these are valid because it's a mess of a comic.
Because she lashes onto him and says, like, you swept in and saved us. You've got a sweet aura. I think you are neat.
Hot stuff.
Yeah.
Hot stuff.
Luke's going like, well, I was just doing my job, lady who has her hands on my face. Beautiful lady.
Even the way they write him is like, well, if you want to see a diplomat, there's General Donna or Senator Organa. By the way, Senator Organa still?
Everyone's a senator if they choose to be, John. Great taught us that.
I guess he really does have the hots for it because he's like, I better put on my cool jacket from the end of New Hope.
We haven't seen this jacket in forever.
Oh, and I've been upset about that because it's one of the coolest Luke Skywalker looks. And I love that in the Jason Aaron comic, when he took over on Star Wars, that's just like, oh no, starting from the end of that movie, that's his look.
That's his default look, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because that jacket rules. I always love that jacket.
So that evening, they have drinks with the Order of the Sacred Circle, and we learn that it's a religious organization from a planet called Monastery.
I'm glad that they didn't work too hard on that. Didn't waste a whole lot of brain cells. I don't want them to overpack.
What if we just called the planet Church? Could we just call it Church?
Well, I mean, wasn't there like Metalorn is the metal planet? It's like,
but at least Metalorn, they changed some letters.
Junction was pretty bad though.
But Junction's like functional, like, okay, like, it's like calling a place the Crossroads. Like, okay, because that's what it literally is, I guess.
It's like calling a planet where there's going to be trouble Pandora.
But what happens if you open that box, John?
I don't know. You might find a hard-to-find resource called unobtainium.
Oh, then it's totally worth it.
I cannot get past that. I'm sorry.
No. It's fine. We're past the unobtainium. Now we need whale brain juice.
Oh, God, yeah. And then what does it do? Wasn't it actually called, like, the Seed Bearer? And everybody's like, oh, God, that's a terrible title.
That's the third one? Yeah.
Yeah. Avatar, the Seed Bearer. And everybody's like, I think I did see a producer going, we're still trying to get Jim to change that. You need to do that now, because you cannot call a movie that.
But yeah, we get a big info dump here from Sister Domina, who says that, like, look, for the most part, our religious order has remained neutral in the Galactic Civil War. We've got members, though, all over the galaxy, and if someone was able to tip the church's like point of view in one direction, it could change the balance of the war. And up until recently, we've done a pretty good job of staying neutral until the Emperor sent somebody to try to sway the elders.
Guy, by any chance? Do you know a guy? And of course, Luke is like, Darth Vader? That guy sucks.
Yeah. Turns out Darth Vader can be pretty persuasive when he wants to be.
He has his moments, yeah. Master diplomat.
The Order wish to hear from both sides before making a decision, but the Empire has a strong and persuasive representative. A large faction has been impressed, and he is not the sort to let his work be undone. And she...
I'm kind of fascinated by this because, like, they're basically just like, well, they made an offer. Any chance you guys could do better?
I don't know if it's a, like, can you do better? Because it doesn't sound like the Order of the Circle of Life or the Sacred Circle.
The whole thing is a ruse, so I'm willing to let a lot of this go because it's all horse shit, basically, right?
It is, but it isn't, because, like, there is a larger order here that Domina is sort of, like, also working against at the behest of Darth Vader.
Yeah, that. I have a lot of questions about the Order of the Sacred Circle. That's a lot of my questions here.
And we'll get some of those answers to this issue, but for the most part, they will have to wait until down the stretch here. Because, yeah, we find out Darth Vader is the Emperor's representative.
Correct.
Luke is like, Darth Vader. And then he says, General Dodonna, you gotta send me on this mission. I hate that Darth Vader guy.
Yeah, nobody hates Darth Vader more than me.
And Dodonna smartly says, this is diplomacy, Luke. Politics. Let Princess Leia do it.
Luke is basically... Luke is really good at fighting and flying an X-Wing, but he is basically like a hick from a farm town, right? Like,
yes, 100%.
We can't have you out negotiating things. That's just not going to fly, man. And also, especially when he's just like, I'll go in there and kick that guy's ass. We really don't need that. That's not plan A.
Bad move, Luke, yeah.
But then Domina's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute now.
Maybe, but she also says, like, look, you're only allowed to send one guy.
Yeah.
So even if you sent Leia, you couldn't send Luke as, like, her attaché or something. You gotta send one person.
I don't know what to tell you.
But she says, I sense in Luke Skywalker an openness and sincerity that the most skillful diplomats rarely have.
And look at this big-ass dumb grin on Luke's face. He's like, that's right, baby. Openness and sincerity. This guy right here.
If we stick with Luke Skywalker of the expanded universe canon,
yes.
We stick to our heirs of the Empire and New Jedi Order, if you will.
Right.
We will know that down the stretch, Luke Skywalker will have a certain weakness for dangerous redheads.
Does he ever?
Yeah. Now, Mara Jade Domina Tag is not, but she is definitely the start of that road.
Oh, yes. Indeed. And so, yeah, and then, so she's just like, all right, everybody, let's go. And General Dodonna's face just like, I hope this doesn't blow up in our face. But he goes, they said you can't go with him, but maybe we could... no, this is not what it is. It's this next page when he's like, maybe you could just, like, follow close behind and keep an eye on him.
Yeah, Dodonna's no fool. So he's like, okay, these weird religious folks seem to have a crush on Luke. He can go. But look, we're not idiots.
I know he's got a dreamy, boyish appeal, but but also we should probably send some people who, because, like, Leia's a better diplomat, and Han is probably more the guy you want if shit goes, like, dark.
Well, Han's also the one who can sniff out a ruse. Like, Luke doesn't know trickery from his own X-Wing.
That's it, exactly. Han's like, I know a con job when I see one. Yeah. And so, so the Millennium Falcon follows behind. We're coming out of warp once again. Come on, man. Wrong franchise.
Hyperspace isn't really... Anyway... we get a really cool sci-fi art panel here, though the proportions on the Millennium Falcon here are wild. Because look how big that radar dish is on the top.
Joey, you put the big radar dish on. Why did you do that? And as they go to this, I like the planet with the ring around it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's where they're going. That is Monastery.
Yeah. And of course, once again, I don't know why the Millennium Falcon's flying like this though, just straight down. I mean, I understand space is a 3D thing, but like, if the idea is they're flying to that planet or in orbit of that planet, he just appears to be nosediving.
Was that planet Monastery until the letterer put the dialogue bubble there saying that is Monastery?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh boy, though, Gorgoni, let's turn the page and get to the freakiest thing we've seen yet.
Yeah, and it's not the giant bat creature with the person face.
No.
It is the images above that with 3PO's prehensile techno nipples.
You haven't seen anything like this since Mastercom, baby.
Mastercom had some techno nipples that he used as dials to like input commands.
Yep.
He was also a large computer that was just had a robot body that he could walk around with.
I'm just saying, they've made nipples very important to the function of droids in this comic.
Yeah, okay. So, if we look at 3PO, like an image of C-3PO,
yes,
we can see that on his sculpted chassis, there is like a little knob on the left side of his like pectoral.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what this is.
No. This is far more disturbing.
These are growths coming out of his nipular region that are then extended outward like straws.
Captain Solo, I don't know what's happened to me. Stop.
He specifically has the dialogue here. As you wish, Your Highness, though it's an odd sensation to find all my circuits suddenly locked into the communications system. So presumably this is to use their, what do they call it? Ultra-frequency laser wave link.
How many sci-fi words can you put into one description? Yeah.
Well, that as many as you need to use them via nipple-based technology.
Yeah. Activating communication nipples, princess.
So were these like soldered onto him later? Did little hatches that we weren't aware of open up?
I'm very disturbed. That's all that I know.
It's real weird. I don't like it, John.
No, I hate it, man. I don't like it at all.
And I say that as the guy who has been to the Empire Strips Back, the Star Wars themed burlesque show, and was weirdly turned on by the C-3PO portion of the show. So,
I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me. No, I'm sure that they don't have anything close to this weird in that. To be fair, you've got me beat on that. I haven't seen that.
There is a portion in which we learn way too much about the Emperor's situation, let's say.
Ooh. Well, we can get back to Palpatine fucked then. So.
Based on the canon of the Empire Strips Back, yes, he does.
Yes. What tier of canon is that?
D or E, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So yes, then of course, then we get Bat Creature
with person hands. Yeah.
Ha!
He's got person hands and person face and bat wings.
And about Infantino giving Luke just a sculpted rear end.
He's got quite the, but the butt like doesn't connect to the thighs correctly, which is what weirds me out there.
Yeah, he loves to draw a defined butt cheek, but not as part of the human anatomy.
Right, because like if
we've talked about this before, it's very weird.
Your leg just keeps going up and eventually becomes the butt.
Yeah,
but it's like he drew the legs and then put a butt on top of those.
Like he looked at it and went, "Not enough butt. I better make this more prominent."
Or like the butt is growing out of his lower back and sagging down over his legs. I don't know.
Yeah. We like to say we're the podcast that puts the most thought into the anatomy of the Star Wars characters.
I mean, we are definitely scaling the ranks where that's concerned.
Yeah.
So I think there are certain lines we still haven't crossed.
Not yet.
I look forward to dancing around those lines, but never quite crossing them.
All right, so yes, we get this bat creature who I just love immediately attacks, of course.
Well, we'll find out later it's being goaded by Darth Vader.
Of course, it's like Darth Vader's like, oh, they're already coming down the ramp. Send it, go get them.
Luke is shouting at Sister Domina to get down. R2 is sort of just like falling over.
It's like, what?
And on this next page, we have Luke ramping out his lightsaber and
thanking the Force, your planet's ban on weapons didn't extend to my lightsaber. What?
Yeah, so while this bat creature is swooping, he has time to say the following. Thank the Force, your planet's ban on on weapons didn't extend to the lightsaber sister. I know that's because in an age of blasters, it's considered just a ceremonial weapon. I just hope the Order of the Sacred Circle understands that preserving our lives seems like a worthwhile ceremony to me. All of this is while the creature is swooping and Luke stabs it through the chest.
I know, yeah, they did. And we were just talking about, like, well, maybe that thought bubble is because he's mid-action in last week's, but you're like, no, he can say as much as he wants while doing anything. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, look, 70s and 80s comic books are really bad about the elasticity of dialogue in the middle of comics.
Really bad about them. And also, did we need any of this? Does it really matter?
I mean, it establishes that Luke is a warrior of some kind. It establishes that he's already sort of gone against the code of the Order of the Sacred Circle to some extent.
Yeah, I guess, but it's just like, honestly, you could have left it. Thank the Force, your planet's ban on weapons didn't. They could have just said, good thing. Yeah, I mean, you could have ended it on, thank God I have my lightsaber with me. Not, I know it's because in an age of blasters, this is considered a ceremonial weapon. Like,
because it also establishes that there are no other weapons on this planet.
Yeah, that's all fine. I mean, like I said, it's all fine to say that, but it's just like, it's the next level of like, and this is why the lightsaber's just like, no, just say like, no, the lightsaber's fine for whatever reason.
Also, we need like a ham-fisted, quippy one-liner when I kill this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just like, and another thing I thought about him. I know that's big. Also, it's another thing was like, I know, might as well go, and you know, so I don't know why I'm saying this. Anyway,
we also learned that this thing was called a night shrike, and that it usually preys on other creatures out in the great rainforests.
Yeah, but I can't imagine it was during the day. The sunlight must have driven it mad. What?
It hates daylight, so when it goes out into it, it gets driven crazy.
Also, are we meant to think R2 is doing like a head swirl, like what?
Yeah, R2 is double taking here on the bottom of this page. Because
a hint of how disruptive to the natural order even one rebel can be. Yeah, that's right. It's Vader, baby.
Yeah, turn around and who's that? It's Vader, hands on hips, being like, nuh-uh.
You go, girlfriend. He's here and he's like, that's right, it's me. And then Luke Skywalker freaks the fuck out. Vader.
This top right panel is just like grade A reaction meme Luke Skywalker.
And then it's R2 that's like, take it easy, buddy.
When R2's the one telling you to chill out, you've gone too far.
R2, as we've talked about, one of the most homicidal characters in Star Wars.
Pretty much like he's in the top 5 in terms of body count. He's not quite to Chopper level of like homicidal droid.
Because Chopper is R2 if he played by absolutely no rules. I still love Dave Filoni's description that if R2 is a dog, Chopper is a cat. Brilliant. Of course, that's exactly what it is. And so it is like, but yeah, R2's like holding Luke. Once again, this is one of those things that on paper, but to imagine this playing out in a movie. Could you imagine R2 like getting in front of actual Mark Hamill and being like, boop, 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 boop. Like, back down, buddy. You're right. But then he's like, hey, man, Luke's like, I'm going to get this treaty signed. And then I'm going to fucking kill you.
I mean, we have this in the captions here. Before leaving Yavin 4, he swore to keep the mission peaceful. But that was before looking into the face of the Lord of the Sith. But if the urge to revenge makes Luke forsake everything, someone else is ready to remind him. As R2 lets out a Frida breed.
R2's like, remember the oath you took, man. But then,
and that nudge is enough.
You and me, Vader, when this is over. And
I
Vader's
mean,
like,
yeah, he says that. Once business is settled,
yeah.
just as soon as we're off monastery, we'll meet Lord Vader. That's a promise in the
Vader's like,
movie.
see us in theaters. But he's just like, whatever, man. I do like, he goes, oh no, wait, okay. This was the insane Vader line that stuck out to me last night. I choose my own time places. What?
So, okay,
Time
this is
places.
Vader's response to Luke saying, once we're off monastery, we'll meet. Vader says specifically, your promises are of no interest to me, stripling. Stripling, already great old-timey insult.
Yeah, absolutely.
I choose my own time places, and I didn't come here to idly banter with a young hothead. I think he's supposed to be saying, I choose my own time and place for conflict, but saying time places, yeah.
That's not a term. No one
No.
says that. I choose my own time places. And that's one of those, once again, where I just want Luke to be like, what? I wonder if it said time and places, and they were like, we can't fit it in the bubble.
We can't fit it in the bubble.
Yeah. I didn't.
It's one of those
I
things
like
where,
the
like,
line other than that.
if you read it fast enough and you
Yeah.
don't think about it, it'll kind of make sense.
Yeah, but I really hit on that last night where I was like, what? And then go like, did I miss the and? No, it's just weird. Anyway, here's Diplomat Vader though.
Yeah, it's real weird seeing Vader hold somebody's hand and go, "Enchanté."
Yeah. After you, my dear. What? Famed murderer, Darth Vader. Yeah, so it's anyway, let's go here, but more
Luke is kind of down on himself. He says, he's right. Nah."
Jesus Christ, this Luke is awful. He's been terrible. And he's just like, I don't know what I was even thinking. And then she's like, no, you're cool. And then, Jesus, in all the Rebel Alliance, only you can fulfill what must be done here. I know this as a priestess, ... as a woman.
As she nuzzles him?
Yeah.
Ugh. So, okay, she's clearly like hitting on Luke and trying to get him into this whole situation.
Yeah. As a woman, baby.
She knows that he can fulfill what must be done as a woman.
Yeah. In the words of the cartoon series Archer, sploosh.
Also, in the words of the cartoon series Archer, phrasing?
Yeah. Indeed, yeah. Archer, so wise.
So wise.
Yeah. So they go here to this is the big destination, the Temple of the Sacred Circle.
Yeah, apparently they've got a jungle escalator as they move down the slideway.
And quarters have been arranged for Luke. Does that mean quarters have been arranged for Vader too? Like, I just love.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's so weird to see Darth Vader. Like, why would you send Darth? Like, it's just so. I understand this is all a trap, but like, it's just so weird to think that Vader would ever be sent anywhere where it's not just like kill everybody. It's kind of all we really ever see him do is either actively kill everybody or order other people to kill everybody. Like,
yeah.
He's really... He's not exactly the guy you send for negotiations for anything. He lays waste.
I will say, though, John, in but a scant month of time, people will be introduced to the idea that Darth Vader will throw a dinner party when the need arises.
Oh my god, one of the greatest moments ever. I love that. There's that meme or whatever that's like a way to make a great first impression on your father-in-law. He throws a dinner party, you just start shooting at him. Which is one of my favorite moments that I've often talked about. I love Han's just quick draw, and it's just like, Darth Vader, die!
One of my favorite short stories from the From Another Point of View book, the Empire Strikes Back one specifically, is about the chef who has to prepare that meal.
Great. That's great.
It's like, does he even eat? We don't know.
Yeah. What the fuck do I make for Vader? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't even know what's going on under there, man.
Do I include a straw? How does this work?
I don't know. This is so weird.
Speaking of weird,
Lando's like, figure it out, man.
Yeah, basically. That's how
Yeah.
that story goes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just... And Luke's like, not bad quarters. And hey, R2, did you see that hottie outside? Totally nuzzle my face.
This part is wild. So Luke begins monologuing to R2 about how hot Domina is, not realizing that Han and Leia and 3PO are all listening via their ultra wave point-to-point communication that
obviously
3PO and R2 have set up.
Obviously, Dodonna didn't tell Luke about the laser wavelength with R2, probably so he could aid him without any embarrassment.
Yeah, well, speaking of embarrassment, Luke's line here over the intercom is almost as beautiful as the princess. Not that I'd forget Leia, it's just sometimes I can't figure out where I stand with her, especially when Han's around.
Oh, curse our love triangle.
That will last for another month.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the Empire does kind of immediately steer out of the love triangle, really.
Once we get off Hoth, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's pretty clear Han and Leia are the couple. Even before you know they're brother and sister, like, that movie puts all the heat on those two. Mostly because I think that's just where it was going. I mean, the Ford-Fisher chemistry could not be denied.
I mean, that movie ends with "I love you, I know." Like that's where it's at.
That's so. I mean, even without the sibling stuff, that no one's like, man. But I hope you are going to have "I love you, I know" and him get frozen, and then the next movie she chooses Luke, regardless of that wouldn't make any sense. So yeah,
no, that'd be wild.
I don't think we would have liked Leia in that case. But yeah, but once again. This, I know she's supposed to be scowling because of what she's hearing, but it's the same expression she always has. And Han is kind of giving a, that's right.
Well, so long as Han keep his mouth shut, Luke's the one digging his own grave here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, keep talking, kid. You know what? Review, actually, keep that comm open a little longer. What else is he going to say?
But on the next page, the last page of this issue, we finally have our plot revealed here because, yes, it is Domina Tag. What?
Oh, no. And Darth Vader, and they are scheming.
They when he explicitly said earlier to stop scheming.
And so, but he's going like, come on, don't you, yeah, this is the weird thing where it's like, it's not totally an act. She is actually part of the Order because she talks about like, am I really ready to betray the Order? Which I thought this was all just like horse shit. And then you're like, no.
So what we get on this page is that Domina Tag was sent here to like keep her out of galactic politics, basically.
Right. Yes.
By the Tag family.
She's your problem now.
Strange, my family placed me in the Order so I could maintain my innocence, be free of the Galactic Empire's many intrigues. Yet here I am, deep in an intrigue of my own, ready to betray the Order. So it does sound like she had like been sent here to keep her out of the way and isolated.
Right.
But she's kind of chafing underneath the Order of the Sacred Circle and is ready to betray them, even though she does have some like loyalty to them.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then he's like, but what about your brothers who they totally killed?
Yeah, so we also found out here that Darth Vader is absolutely lying to her about the fact that Luke Skywalker
a
killed
murderer
the Tag brothers.
And a liar on top of that. This bastard.
John, I don't think this Darth Vader's up to any good.
Man, I know. I was really what a heel turn for this guy. Am I right?
I could have sworn he was just misunderstood based on that first movie where he snaps that guy's neck in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, man. And then she's like, yeah, why else would? Of course, I'm doing this for revenge. My brother never stopped talking how much he hated you. What did you say specifically?
But for all you did against Orman, you weren't responsible for his death. Luke Skywalker was.
Yeah, well, more of a crippling embarrassment, but same idea. No, yeah, and so And then he talked to Wormus. He goes outside. This is kind of a cool shot of Vader with his cape billowing.
Yeah, I like this.
And he's like, my opening moves are complete, Wormus. The players are all in position. Let the game truly begin.
Yeah.
And then you want to...
We're just like, does Darth Vader ever laugh?
No. He's a steely character. Aside from he can be catty sometimes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Remember not to choke on your ambitions. But he would never like. So there is some level of wit to him, but you never hear him laugh. That's a Palpatine thing.
The laughter died with Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a stoic. I like those occasional quips from him though, to be like, oh, he's still having some fun,
Right. Like,
there's some part of him that's still like, okay.
Looks like you've got a promotion, as the Admiral was dead and choking on the ground.
Oh God, I do love that. And that guy just being like, ugh.
Isn't that Piet who gets the promotion in Empire?
Yes.
But so Darth Vader has set all of this in motion. We are on the planet Monastery now. Luke Skywalker has fallen into his trap, even though, again, this is a Darth Vader who doesn't know Luke Skywalker is his son, or that he is in fact Anakin Skywalker in any way, shape, or form.
I forgot who I was. Who was I again?
This might be a Jabba the Hutt with one T scenario. We might have to retcon that this is a different Darth Vader.
Oh, we might have to retcon? No.
I don't know. That's the thing.
Darth Vader, not Darth Vader.
We know that this book is basically coming out at the same time as Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Is this a situation where the writers can pull this out of a tailspin so that it makes sense?
Well, that's what I'm really curious to see what becomes of this book once Empire comes out, right? Like I've talked about I love the 80s Star Trek comic, and they basically had to completely reboot every time a movie came out.
Yeah.
And completely just be like, none of that ever happened. Never mind.
Yeah. But next issue, we are promised a Red Queen Rising. I can only assume this is talking about Domina Tag and her own personal machinations going forward.
And definitely not an X-Men plot, which is what it actually sounds like.
I really don't think Kate Pride, the Red Queen of the Hellfire Corporation, is going to show up with her marauders to bring mutants back to Krakoa. No.
She exists as a character at this point. When does Kitty show up?
Kitty showed up at the beginning of the Dark Phoenix saga, so that would have been 80...
Uncanny X-Men 129, which is 1980. So she's only existed as a character in comics for about 5 months at this point.
Okay. And all we really know about her so far is that she is a quippy teenager who knows machines and really doesn't like Emma Frost, which is par for the course.
He made that very clear.
Yes. Oh, we needed our representation. We can't just have Ben Grimm being the only Jewish character in Marvel.
There's a few. Mark Spector, eventually they said he was Jewish.
Yeah, he has a tenuous relationship with religion at the best of times, though.
That was it the Max Bemis run of Moon Knight, I think, where they made it like, oh no, there's actually huge trauma involving his Jewish upbringing and stuff like that. Everything is trauma for that guy, though.
The rabbi that was part of his childhood turned out to be a psychopath.
Yeah. I said everything is trauma for that poor guy, though.
Yeah, look, if there's one thing we know about Moon Knight, it's all trauma all the way down.
He and Matt Murdock, man, are ever running for the most traumatized Marvel character.
I mean, but Matt Murdock's never gotten to the point where his personality has been broken by the layers of...
well, that's true. Just a lot of dark shit with that guy.
Yeah, no,
and basically anyone and anything he loves withering and dying.
Sure, this we know. This is a constant.
Don't date Matt Murdock, folks. If you want to live, don't date Matt Murdock. All right. That is issue number 35. We are hurtling towards the coverage of Empire Strikes Back. Well, I said you can
really get that.
It's in no hurry to get there.
We'll be getting there in about a month. But Before that, we also have a few issues of this left to cover. We will be changing artists here pretty soon. We will also jump forward in time to cover the last, we swear to God, adaptation of A New Hope.
Yeah, I mean, of a sort, right? Of a sort, it's an adaptation of A New Hope. The other thing I was thinking...
Look what I got right here, John. Oh, an
Ooh,
omnibus.
look at that.
I'm going to be covering the Infinity stuff in physical media.
Whoa. The other thing I was thinking we might cover, and I guess let us know if you want us to do this, but I thought before we get to Empire, is the adaptation of Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Since that was sort of the almost sequel, that was sort of that, like, man, if Star Wars doesn't go, we're going to make this Star Wars 2. So I thought that might be kind of a fun little thing to do before we do Empire as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I know,
because we're getting to Empire eventually.
Yeah, but I thought, like, that's kind of a thing where it's sort of, that's almost like a what if, right? Like,
yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So look forward to that in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah. But first, we got to wrap up this whole Red Queen Rising shenanigans.
Yeah. But until then, of course, you can find a bunch of other shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network, including shows like Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters and Material Components and some other shows that I don't know if we're allowed to talk about yet.
I think at this point, we can tell them that the IP Squad is out.
The IP Squad is out. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still talking about Stephen King over there. So, because we're recording this months in advance of when it comes out.
Podcast time travel.
But yeah, head over there. And of course, if you want to support this show and all those other shows, head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.podbean.com/punchup. Once again, patreon.podbean.com/punchup. You can get cool exclusive bonus content as well as help out the shows.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. It is one of the better ways to enjoy this particular show because you can read the comics along with us while we're talking about them and see the weird art that we are discussing.
Indeed. But I think
let us know in the comments below any other things we absolutely have to cover before the Empire Strikes Back, or if you want to hear us talk about Splinter of the Mind's Eye. I would be curious to hear people's feedback on that.
Yeah, indeed. But I think that's going to wrap things up this week, Gergoni.
Yes, indeed, because as always, I have been Mike Gergoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And may the panel be with you.